So I work at Walmart, and as many of you might know, a lot of our stores have associates managing the front entrance to ensure that all customers that enter the store are wearing masks. The order came into effect on July 20th and all associates had to attend a mandatory training seminar, not only to educate them on the reasoning behind the decision, but also how to deal with any customers who refuse to comply with the steps put in place to control the spread of COVID-19. Management also understood that since there was a lot of pushback with regards to mask wearing, it would be a high-pressure role, so a system was put in place whereby each shift would have a different associate working with the usual greeter whose job it was to enforce the new regulation. The way they put it, if someone refused to wear a mask when entering the store, it was the relevant associate's job to, quote, find a solution to the problem. Which, from what I understood, was just a polite way of us saying either wear a mask in the store or get lost. We were even authorized to give out free masks to people to basically make it impossible to give us a "I can't afford one" excuse. So anyway, once the order was put in place, it only took a few days before it was my turn to man the front entrance. And I'll admit, I was kind of nervous about it, as I'd already heard a few horror stories from other associates who'd gotten into arguments with irate Karens who screamed about infringing their rights and all that other stuff. But for the first few hours, everything was cool. Not a single person had a problem with putting a mask on, and those that had either forgotten bring one or hadn't gotten word of the enforcement had absolutely no problem taking one of the free ones we were instructed to give out. Then, just as I thought the whole thing was going to be much easier than first anticipated, I see this woman pushing a cart towards the front entrance who I could just tell was going to be a problem. If there's one thing working with the public had gotten me attuned to, it's that some people just give off a whole bunch of bad energy, and this woman was one of them. So as you can guess, when I stop her and politely tell her that she needs to wear a mask to shop in our Walmart, she starts pushing back. After a few minutes of back and forth, with her getting increasingly confrontational and combative, she tried to straight up barge past me with her shopping cart, so unfortunately I had to call security to get her to leave. But before she does, she looks me dead in the eye and says, "You're going to be sorry for this, young man, you just wait and see." I figure she was going to attempt to make a complaint to corporate, and totally did not expect what happened next. Because not long after the Karen leaves, this other dude comes marching up to the front entrance, only this guy is actually wearing a face covering. I didn't figure he was going to be a problem, until it became obvious that he wasn't wearing a mask to stop COVID spreading. He was wearing a mask because he didn't want to be identified when he pulled a knife out his back pocket, and put it right up to my throat. He starts growling all this stuff about how you think it's okay to treat a woman like that, and how punks like you need to learn respect. Turns out, it was Karen's husband, who she'd evidently unleashed on me because I disrespected her or whatever. Dude, feeling the cold metal of that blade against my throat, I can't even tell you how scary that was for me. Everything just kind of slowed down while I waited for him to take it away. I mean, I didn't really think he was going to do anything. There were so many witnesses around and stuff. But Jesus, there was still that chance that he was crazy enough to actually do it, you know? Anyway, he left long before the cops arrived to take statements, and as far as I know, they never found the guy to arrest him. This whole pandemic thing has been hard on all the associates. I mean, it's been tough on everyone, but I feel like for some people, it's driving them to absolute breaking point. I'm just thankful that guy didn't have it in him to actually do anything, or I might not be around to be writing this right now. Be good to each other, people. Times are hard enough while us all getting all crazy on each other. Without being specific, I live in southern Canada in a relatively decent-sized city, but one that has always felt safe to me. I mean, it is Canada, right? I have always had an interest in true crime and been aware of my surroundings, hence my post here, thank God. It was a beautiful day. Winter was just coming to an end, and as a last-minute decision I decided I needed a hair product I could only get at my local Walmart. Me being 20, I drove myself and I parked my car and got out walking towards Walmart. As I'm walking, I hear a man out of nowhere calling ma'am, ma'am. It is a man in his 50s to 60s with glasses. He approaches me asking me how I liked my car because his son was thinking about getting the same one. Fair enough, but not really, as I drive a common Ford car. I answer him, and then he pinches my coat as someone pulls out of their spot and tells me about how I should be locking my car doors from the inside before I get out because someone got their stuff stolen and I have to be safe as a girl, but that not anything happened to the girl. Blah blah blah. He then grabbed my coat again and continued on about the story. I was polite and thought maybe it was just a too friendly old man. My parents did raise me to be polite. I was just looking forward to making it into the store. A second man approaches the first man wearing a black ball cap, and he looked older, definitely 60s, and they were chatting with each other as if they just happened to run into each other. I thought it was a natural occurrence until they continued walking together, not saying anything while the first man continues on his conversation with me, or at least he tries to. The first man put his arm out to say almost like go through the door first, so I did, not thinking anything of it. Even though this door was 3 people wide easily. I was a tad nervous at this point and walked into the store so quickly. I made a direct right into the themed aisles and speed walked down to the shampoo aisle, which was not far. I also only had to turn down one of the aisles to find it, so I had not been perusing down aisles looking. I knew exactly where to go, what I was grabbing. I was down the aisle for less than 5 seconds when that first man suddenly walked down the aisle. I look up and a sick feeling invaded my body. My fight or flight kicked in and I grabbed the thing I wanted and hurried towards the cash registers. I picked a female to cash me out just in case I would have to say something. I am in line now behind only one man, and I looked behind me to see that the second man, who the first man ran into right before entering the store, was now walking back and forth along the checkouts, watching me, with nothing in his hands. Keep in mind I was literally in the store for less than 5 minutes. As I cash out my things, I see to the one cashier over the second man who was watching me, cashing out a pack of gum. He finished cashing out first and then just stood there on the path towards my only exit. Thanks coronavirus. As if he was waiting for someone, even though he didn't initially enter the store with this man. They just happened to run into each other, but they weren't shopping together. I contemplate my next move, and instead of asking the cashier for help, I figure these 2 older men depended on the sneak attack rather than being able to catch someone, so I book it. Also, don't do this like me, you should pay attention to your surroundings. But I speed dial my best friend in tears. As I am running to my car, I frantically tell her I am being followed, 2 men are following me, and that I don't know what to do. I make it to my car, get in my car, lock the doors, and I don't see the first man's truck, bright blue, parked around me anymore. Obviously, I took the long way home, making sure I wasn't being followed. I am kept up at night wondering what would have happened to me. I live in a border city. Live easy access to the highway. Easy to think about me ending up another face plastered to a billboard. Hello, I'll start this off by saying that this story may not be super scary, but it's true, and nonetheless it still sends a shiver down my spine. Also, this is my mom's story, but I still feel partially guilty. It was around last year, the prime time of the pandemic. I didn't want to do schoolwork, so I went with my mom to go grocery shopping. But of course, like almost every teenager, I went into one store and got bored. So not wanting to go shopping anymore, I just told my mom that I wanted to stay in the car and that I could watch my sister. Although my mom said yes, my sister didn't want to stay in the car with me and started to throw a fit. Not wanting to have to listen to my sister complaining on the ride home, my mom just said whatever and took her in the store. After like 30 minutes in the car, my mom finally comes out of the store. I was about to say, "Geez, take long enough," as a joke. I was cut off by my mom saying, "You should have come in." Thinking something funny happened, I asked her why. What she said next froze me to the core and sending a chill down my spine. I think human traffickers were trying to steal Mary. I asked, my eyes wide and looking at my sister, oblivious to this fact. The following is what my mom said happened. They were strolling down the part of Walmart where sports balls and stuff were. There wasn't anyone other than them in these aisles, or so my mom thought. My mom got the feeling as if she was being watched. So my mom, being smart not to alert her watcher, she stops the cart pretending to look at the things on the shelf. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw 2 men around 5 feet 10 inches with hoodies and baseball caps on. She thought it was creepy and started to walk away. That's when she noticed one of the men was really close, Mary, and the other less than 2 inches behind her. My sister was just 6, so my mom thought they were being creepy towards her. My mom was about to spin around to slap the dude behind her, but just before she does, she thinks to herself, "Not let Mary out of her sight." Mom picks up the pace and gets to a part of the store where a few more people are. She turns, noticed they both stopped and were walking away. My mom sighed in relief and checked out. I've thought to myself that if I had gone in there with my mom and sister, that they would have been more safe. I really wish I had gone, but because of my selfishness I could have been the reason my sister wouldn't be here now. My mom also changed by buying a gun to protect her and us. As I said, this might not be that scary as other ones I've heard, but nonetheless it kept me away from Wally World for a long time.